Well, welcome to this crazy time where we deal with the coronavirus and everything that goes on with it. You guys have just been learning about viruses and how they work in class. You've had notes from like a couple weeks ago, if you remember, and it started here on this page here. We talked about the coronavirus, watched a little video of it. We also did some notes on the different types of things that can infect you. We would call those pathogens. And then we really got into viruses in particular, and I didn't have a picture of corona on these notes, but we had things like the bacteriophage that affects bacteria. We had the Ebola virus, one that affects people very rapidly and gets people extremely sick in a quick time frame. So they don't really have a lot of time to spread it to a lot of other people. We got the flu, your common flu, HIV, and I did add corona a little bit later, so I don't think that's on your notes, but there's a microscope image of that, electron scanning scope image of it. So we talked about them being just DNA and proteins. And I guess that's the big thing to take away here. As you hear on the news or YouTube, wherever you're getting information, how to kill the viruses, we don't really kill them because they're not alive. They are just DNA and protein. We can destroy them much like you can destroy a car or a computer or something like that. But these things are not alive. So antibiotics, things that kill living things, will not work on viruses. However, they can be destroyed. The structure of the virus can be damaged, and then the virus won't infect you anymore. So today we are going to start talking about living things that can be pathogens, living things that can get you ill and sick. And probably the most common one of those is bacteria. So bacteria probably, they own the world, right? They're all over the place. And I ask you guys if you handle any of these critters. Whoa, he's jumping on the screen. Any of these guys. So that's our little crested gecko, right? That if you handle any of these things, that you wash your hands afterwards. And that's not really because of viruses. That's simply because of bacteria. So there was some early reports in the news that the coronavirus came from a snake in China, and that, I mean, the odds of that happening are pretty small. There's not a lot of viruses that can jump from snakes and reptiles to humans. Okay, the reptile biology, the things that are going on inside of this crested gecko, is very different that are going on from you. Your cells are pretty different from a reptile cells in a lot of different ways, and so we don't see a lot of diseases actually that affect things like reptiles affecting people. However, there is stuff living on this guy's skin that could be possibly from his waste product. He just jumped on the camera. It's awesome. That could be from his waste products or just things found in the soil or substrate where he lives. And those can grow on his skin. And if you're handling it, like I am right now, even though he's jumping all over the place because it's morning and he's wide awake, if you're handling one of these guys, then the living things on his skin can get on your skin. And then that's the issue, right? So now I've got living things on my hand that could then get into my body somehow. And that could be something like, hey, I have some food. I'm grabbing a sandwich or a donut or something like that right after this, and I eat it. And now the bacteria that's on him is now inside of me. And so the big one we're worried about here with reptiles is something called salmonella, which is a type of bacteria. So I'm going to put him away real quick and I'll be back in a flash. He's all put away and my hands are washed, which is good. So now I can touch the computer and not worry about, going back later on and getting any bacteria that was on him onto me. So bacteria are living things. They are a kingdom of life. If you remember that from the very first part of the year, when we talked about the 6 kingdoms of life, there's actually 2 bacterial kingdoms. There's the archaebacteria and the eubacteria. We're mainly going to talk about the eubacteria because those are the ones that live around us most of the time and inside of our bodies. And of those eubacteria, there are a few different shapes. These are the most common ones that you're going to see. We have a spiral shaped. We call that spirilla. And then we also have a rod-shaped bacteria. And rod-shaped bacteria, you maybe heard of bacillus is the name for that. And Lactobacillus acidophilus is found in yogurt. And it gives yogurt its unique kind of acidic flavor. And then we also have circular shape, and those are called like coccus is what they're called, but they're circular in shape. So those are the three most common ones. And we find them all over the place, on your skin, on surfaces, in the soil. They're very important there. They're in your body, they're in your mouth, they are everywhere. And here's the thing, they are all alive and they're all just one cell big. And when I'm talking one cell, I mean a tiny cell. So we looked at your cells on the microscope, and I'd love to be able today to show you bacteria because I do have them at school. But we can't do it. But here's the thing. Your cells that you pulled out of your mouth when we did a cheek swab were pretty big. If I put a bacterial cell next to that, it would be way, 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 way smaller. It's also a lot simpler. So what I'm going to have you do is definitely this next slide here where you're going to have to draw a bacterial cell. So you're going to hop onto this. This is slide number 17 on our notes. You can get these notes on Google Classroom. You can also get them from your drive. I think we made a copy of it before we all separated from the social distancing thing. So I want you to watch that video after this. Draw a bacterial cell. There's a picture of one right there, but I kind of walk you through the different parts of a bacterial cell there. And then the next slide, slide 18, where are bacteria found? There's a video on that. It's from Discovery News. I'd like you to click on that, watch it. I think it's a pretty interesting one. And then there's a couple questions on your notes that I'd like you actually to fill out on your document. One of them is, where are the most different types of bacteria found on the human body? So right now I'd love like predictions if we could, is it like going to be in your ear? Maybe it's in your mouth, okay? Maybe it's on the bottom of your feet. But we're talking about different types, not just the amount of bacteria, okay? So like the most variety. So think about maybe where that might be. The second question is, in your home, that is where you are right now, where do you think the most bacteria is or are? Where do you think they are? Toilet seat's a common one. People are like, oh, there's tons of it there. But maybe your parents or you clean it often. Where do you think the most bacteria are found? You could also call this maybe like the dirtiest or the germiest place in your home. Where would that be? You should get both those answers from this video, so you can watch it and fill out the notes as you do it, okay? I'm gonna post one more thing on Google Classroom along with this video, and that's your lesson for today. So yeah, take care, stay safe, keep your distance from people.